a book buying problem. I know this, but that did not stop me from buying more books. And today I'm going to talk to you about them. So let's just get started. The first book that I bought is Grief is for People by Sloane Crosley. I can't say any last name or any first name ever. There's no news there. Anyway, this is a nonfiction book which is all about grief. I believe that the author wrote it after her friend died. And I think I talked about this on my channel before, but I have been looking for books about grief specifically since my grandmother died. And I've been having a really hard time finding ones that hit you hard emotionally, if that makes sense. I picked up, for instance, The Year of Magical Thinking by Joan Didion. And she just wrote in a very distant kind of clinical sense, which is totally okay if that's the way you want to process your grief and that's the way you want to write it in a book. But I want something that's gonna make me cry. In that book, I just wasn't feeling it. So I'm hoping that this book will make me cry and help me process that grief. I haven't really heard much about it, but as soon as I saw it on Book Outlet, I just felt like I needed it. I'm hoping I'm gonna love it. And I'm excited about it, so I bought it. After that, we have a book that I saw Books and Lala talk about, so I had to buy. I don't even remember what she rated it, but I remember the premise just sounded really interesting. So let's see how much of the premise I can just remember. And that book is Little Eyes by Samantha Schweblin. I think that's how you say the last name. Anyway, so this book talks a lot about surveillance, and it follows these things that I think are toys for children. They're these little pets that are called Little Eyes. And they're these little these little toys, little toy creatures, and they can move and talk and respond to your child, but the reason they can do so is because there's a person on the other side of it. And I believe this book really explores the creepiness of that. The cover says absolutely gutting, absolutely haunting. Those words make me want to pick up the book. The premise just sounds so good, so interesting. I'm excited to see what it says about surveillance. I'm just really excited about this one and I can't wait to pick it up. Then we have another book that I saw Books and Lala talking about. Clearly I'm very easily influenced, and that is Earth Eater by Dolores Reyes. This book takes place in Argentina and it follows this woman who has an addiction to eating earth, but the earth tells her about the people that have been murdered and have been buried in it. And slowly people start to find out about her gift, and they come to her to try to find out information about their missing family members. It just sounds so good. I mean, it sounds so absolutely weird that this woman just eats earth and the earth can tell her things by the taste. I have no idea how it works. And the front says it's one of the most outstanding Latin American short novels of 2020. So I have to pick it up. I have no choice. That really sells me. Souls me is that I think I said there, and I didn't mean to say it like that. And now I'm just realizing that the next book is also a book that I saw her reading, but we're just gonna pretend it's just a coincidence. And that book is Mayfly by CJ Leede. I have no idea what this is about. What I do know is that it has this cool eye cover. And the back says, "Serial killing is no longer a boys' club. We love women doing bad things in this house." Maybe not my dad, but I do. So maybe not this house. In this room, the things I'm saying are just getting worse and worse as I say them. I'm just in my room yapping to myself, and I really shouldn't be putting these things on the internet. So what I'm going to say is I love the idea of a woman serial killer, which is another great thing to put on the internet. I just think it's going to be a fun book. This was a cover buy. I can't deny it. I just love the fact that she's licking this eyeball, and then there's teeth. I just think it's great. And that is the end of the books I saw on the Books and Lala YouTube channel. The next book I had to talk about is The God of Endings by Jacqueline Holland. This book follows an immortal artist. She was turned immortal centuries ago by a family member, and she's kind of grappling with that. But then it says she finds her life upended by the arrival of a gifted child from a troubled home, the return of a stalking presence from her past, and her own mysteriously growing hunger for blood. I love that. I've actually seen this book quite a few times on Bookstagram or in the bookstore or something. I recognized the cover, but I had never read the premise. And when I read the premise on Book Outlet, it just sounded so interesting. So I had to pick it up. And this is not an ad for Book Outlet. I just love cheap books. And I have this issue where I go on Book Outlet and I browse for a long time. And I will go through hundreds of pages of books. And if you go through hundreds of pages of books, you're going to find books that you want to read. And then I buy them. So this isn't about my issues here. It's just about these books. So let's talk about the next one. I think this is the one that I'm most excited about. It is Ghost Wall by Sarah Moss. First of all, it has this beautiful, beautiful cover that I love so much. It's like a skull, but it's made out of like floral stuff. Let me see. I can get you closer. Isn't that beautiful? Oh. So anyway, this follows a family that's living in the north of England, and they're living as the ancient Britons. So they're basically living and surviving by the tools and knowledge of the Iron Age. I just like, come on. That sounds so weird. It sounds so good. I actually tried to buy this from Book Outlet a while ago just based off of the cover. I had never read the synopsis. And this is another one where as soon as I read the synopsis, I was like, add to cart. I need that. And so I bought it. Then we have Brat by Gabrielle Smith. The only thing I know about this novel, other than the fact that I've seen a lot of people whose opinions I like read it, is that when Charli XCX announced her album Brat, this author like retweeted it and made a joke that she was naming it in honor of his upcoming book, and it did not go well for him. But I think it was really funny of him to do that, and I love the name. And the one thing that really got me about this book is I'll read it to you. It's from the synopsis. It says, as the moldy, overgrown house deteriorates around him, so does his own health, and large sheets of his skin begin to peel from his body at a terrifying rate. How could you not want to pick that up? So it's horror, I'm guessing. I love horror. I'm in my horror era. I have to pick it up. And I do, in fact, know that when I say the word horror, it sounds like I'm saying another word. So you don't need to point it out to me. Next, we have Jackal by Erin E. Adams. So this book follows a black woman who grew up in, like, this small town. She left it as soon as she could. She didn't like it. But she's coming back to that small town she was raised in for a friend's wedding. But on the eve of her friend's wedding, I believe it's her friend's child gets kidnapped. And it brings her back to the memory of another black child that was kidnapped when she was younger and that was found, like, violently killed. And so she's thinking it's the same killer, and she thinks that they're specifically going after black children. So first of all, she's trying to find her friend's child, and she's also grappling with the fact that easily could have been her when she was younger. It just sounds so good. I've been trying to get more into thrillers lately. I guess this is kind of like a horror. I really don't know how I would categorize it because I haven't read it yet. But I've been trying to get more into thrillers. And I love anything that has like commentary on race or like social issues. So I just think this is going to be one for me. The next two books, I have to admit, I don't know much about. They were cover buys. And I'm ashamed of that, but I'm going to pretend like I'm not. The first book is Madwoman by Chelsea Beaker. This book I know follows a woman who has some secrets in her past, but she's guarded them very well and she's managed to create the perfect life with the perfect family. However, one day a letter arrives to her from a women's prison in California, and then suddenly the perfect life that she has built is at risk. That's all I know, but I can't lie, I really only bought this book because of the cover, because this is a gorgeous cover. Like, the cover and then the title Madwoman really drew me in. I want to read it. After that, we have Disorientation by Elaine Hsieh Chu. This book follows a Taiwanese American girl who's in grad school. I believe she's trying to get her PhD. I'm like checking to see if I'm right as I'm talking. I should do better. Anyway, she accidentally stumbles upon a strange and curious note in the archives, and she convinces herself it's her ticket out of academic hell. I don't know anything about this book other than that, and that doesn't even sound like the most thrilling concept, but I still really want to read it, and I really love the cover, and I particularly love, like, the Sailor Moon uniform on the cover. I know that uniform has, like, an actual name, but I just can't think of it. So, but you know what I mean when I say Sailor Moon uniform. That's the important part. I don't know what it is about this cover, but it really draws me in, and I can't wait to read it. This is also a debut novel, I believe, so that's fun. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the final book in the book haul. I know you're upset. I know you wanted this book haul to last for hours and hours and hours, and I'm so sorry, but I can't do that today because I only have a limited amount of books. And the very last book in the book haul is The Last Murder at the End of the World by Stuart Turton. First of all, I got like this cool Sprite Edges edition, which I didn't even know that Book Outlet really sold, but they did, and I bought it. So this book, I feel like, is kind of hard to describe. It takes place at the end of the world, which you can tell by the title. And basically, like, all these people, there's been, like, this mysterious fog that has, like, gone throughout the world and killed everyone it touches, but certain people were able to get on an island and put up a security measure to save them from the fog. However, one day they wake up to find that one of their top scientists has been murdered. And so not only is that like an issue because, you know, murder, but it's also an issue because somehow it has set off a mechanism that's going to like unlock the security system and leave them to the fog if they don't figure out who the murderer is. But the same security system has wiped everyone's memory. So they have no idea who did it, and they have to figure it out, and they have to try to save their skin. This book really interests me because I read, it's right there, I always forget the name, The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. I read that book by this author, and I loved it. It really got me into like picking up a mystery thriller type books. And it's honestly my favorite of the genre so far. It's just so interesting. And I think that this concept is also very interesting. I haven't heard too many great things about this book in particular, which is upsetting. But I want to read it anyway, so I'm going to. So there you go. Those are the books I bought recently. I think it's actually a decent haul because I didn't go overboard. Like, did I buy too many books? Yes. But I could have bought like 50 books, and I only bought like 10 or 12. So I consider that a win, personally, for my consumerism issues. Anyway, let me know which book I should start with down below. Let me know if you've read any of these books and what you thought. And let me know if you want to see any of them reviewed, and I will review them for you. That's all for today, and I'll see you soon with another video. Goodbye!